The Galactic Council's emergency session had been called for the third time in as many cycles, and Admiral Zexthai of the Vraxian Empire found himself staring at the holographic display with growing unease. The data streams showed impossible readings. A single human vessel had somehow neutralized 3 entire Korthak battle fleets in the Outer Rim systems. "This cannot be accurate," growled Commander Thess, her mandibles clicking nervously. "1 ship against 97 vessels? The humans must have sent a fleet and hidden their signatures." "Negative," replied the Council's chief analyst, a crystalline being whose voice chimed like broken glass. "Our deep space sensors confirm 1 human craft, designation Defiance, crew complement of exactly 2 individuals." James Mitchell adjusted his environmental suit as he guided the Defiance through the debris field that had once been the Korthak's 3rd Assault Wing. His co-pilot and partner, Naz Sharma, monitored the tactical displays with practiced efficiency, her dark eyes scanning for any remaining threats. "Think they're getting the message yet?" James asked, his voice carrying that particular brand of dry humor that had kept them sane during their 3-year deep space patrol. Naz allowed herself a small smile as she updated their after-action report. "Based on the encrypted chatter we're intercepting from Galactic Command, I'd say they're more confused than convinced. The Vraxians are calling it statistically impossible. The Threnodi are hypothesizing that we've discovered some form of reality manipulation technology." "Reality manipulation," James chuckled, running his fingers through his brown hair. "If only they knew the reality is much simpler and much scarier for them." The Defiance wasn't particularly impressive by human standards. A mid-sized patrol, craft with adaptive shielding, quantum-entangled communication arrays, and what the engineering corps called aggressive problem-solving capabilities. What made it truly formidable wasn't its weapons systems or armor plating, it was the 2 humans inside it. 3 days earlier, the Korthak had issued their standard ultimatum to the human colony on Kepler 442c. Surrender all resources and submit to annexation, or face complete orbital bombardment. The colony's population of 8,000 civilians had 48 hours to comply. The Galactic Council had debated intervention for 36 of those hours, ultimately concluding that the loss of 1 human colony was regrettable but strategically insignificant. They had filed the appropriate diplomatic protests and moved on to other business. Humanity's response had been characteristically direct. They sent James and Naz. "Incoming transmission from the Korthak flagship," Naz announced, her fingers dancing across the communication console. "Audio only. They're surrendering?" James raised an eyebrow. "All 3 fleets?" "Apparently. Admiral Kreshitar is requesting safe passage to neutral space. He's also asking, and I quote, 'What manner of demons pilot that cursed vessel?'" The truth would have disappointed the Korthak admiral in its mundane nature. James and Naz weren't superhuman warriors or technological wizards. They were simply products of a species that had evolved in a gravity well, with aggressive predators, unstable weather patterns, and an inexplicable tendency to solve problems through applied violence and creative engineering. What the aliens couldn't grasp was that humans didn't see the encounter as 1 ship against 3 fleets. They saw it as 2 highly trained individuals with superior technology, tactical flexibility, and an absolute refusal to accept defeat against a bunch of slow-moving targets with predictable attack patterns. "The first fleet went down because they grouped their ships in a defensive formation," Naz observed, reviewing the tactical data. "Classic mistake. 1 antimatter torpedo in their ammunition storage created a chain reaction that took out 60% of their force. The second fleet tried to spread out but maintained synchronized movement patterns," James added. "Once we cracked their command frequencies, we fed them false collision warnings. They destroyed each other trying to avoid impacts that weren't coming." "And the third fleet?" "Psychological warfare. After watching 2 entire fleets get eliminated by a single ship, their morale was already broken. We just had to show up and target their command vessel. Admiral Kreshitar's surrender saved us the trouble of actually fighting them." Back in the Galactic Council chambers, the debate had shifted from disbelief to genuine concern. The holographic display now showed 17 different alien species military analyses of the human engagement. and every single one reached the same terrifying conclusion. If 2 humans in a single ship could destroy 3 fleets, what could humanity accomplish? If they decided to stop playing defense? Motion to formally recognize human territorial claims, announced Counselor Veltar of the Aquarian Systems. All in favor? The vote was unanimous. 3 hours later, the Defiance received a priority transmission from Earth Command. James opened the channel to find Admiral Sarah Chen's weathered face filling their main screen. Outstanding work, you two. Kepler 4422c reports all Korthak forces have withdrawn from their system. The Galactic Council has also issued a formal apology for their delayed response to the initial threat. Any new assignments, Admiral? Naz asked. Chen's smile was predatory. Funny you should ask. We've received reports of Vraxian mining operations in the Centauri neutral zone. Apparently, they didn't get the memo about human territorial boundaries. James and Naz exchanged glances. The Defiance was already changing course before Chen closed the channel. Across the galaxy, alien military strategists worked frantically to understand humanity's impossible capabilities. They analyzed weapon signatures, studied tactical patterns, and developed increasingly elaborate theories about human technology and biology. None of them considered the simplest explanation. Humans were just really, really good at breaking things that needed to be broken, and they were absolutely terrible at knowing when to quit. In the depths of space, the Defiance accelerated toward its next destination, carrying its crew of 2 and the growing reputation that would make human patrol vessel synonymous with overwhelming force in 17 different alien languages. The age of human expansion had begun with a simple question that the galaxy was still trying to answer. If this was what just one ship could do, what happened when humanity stopped holding back?